Welcome to Center Hice Productions. It is June 20th, 2023. We had breaking news this morning, and we're going to get to that. This is a three-part series, and we're going to start first. Could you please hit the likes and subscribes down below? It would be muchly appreciated. A little tired on this one because some reason my taping hasn't worked. I had this done earlier. Anyhow, it didn't accept it. So here we are. Hit the likes and subscribes. And first topic is going to be about Sean Monahan. Second topic, Pierre-Luc Dubois rumor. And who are the Habs interested in the draft with the 31st pick? Florida's pick. So it comes down to, here we are, we're with Sean Monahan's. And the breakdown of it, Montreal Canadiens today signed Sean Monahan for $1.98 million for one season, and to me, great. That's a pretty good signing. Actually, it looks like this gives us an extra crack at maybe getting that value out of that trade, which we were trying to do at the trade deadline this year, and it didn't pan out. But he's a good worker. I mean, look how he did do well when he was there. 17 points in 25 games. It's pretty darn good. Just happens to be injury prone. Let's hope we get lucky this year and he has a healthy year. And he's a good leader for the kids. He's got good qualities. So I have no problem with that signing. That was a good signing by Hice. No Anderson Butts, and for that price, much better price tag. So you can't go wrong there. Yeah, I like Corey Perry. Would have liked that signing myself, but Monahan's not a bad choice. So it's all good. Next, we go on to some answers, and this all came from The Athletic. This is where my stories came from, the information I'm speaking on. Next one was an article in The Athletic about Pierre-Luc Dubois, and very straightforward of the facts on why what the reasoning is it's not a good move. He's wanting $9 million northward, which could mean a lot more, because this is his cash-in contract. This is a player, you got to remember, no one in any of this is questioning his talent. We know he has a talent. Jonathan Drouin had the talent. I've seen him, but these guys have an entitlement proponent to their personalities, and it's got to stop. These are cancers in locker rooms. You don't want these poisons. And unfortunately, we have certain reporters pumping this out, trying to push so that we appease one community, that they get their French player. Well, no, guess what? Unfortunately, you're not back in the 70s. You're not back in the 80s, where you had Mario Lemieux. There's no Beatle players. There's no Yvonne Cornway, Jacques Lemaires. There's no Henri Richard, Rocket Richard, Jean Beliveau. None of these guys. They're not to that caliber. Those guys played with heart and made no money. And then you get these guys, this new generation, this what's becoming a very big problem, this entitlement attitude. And it's got to stop. And we got to be smart enough. And I do think that Hughes and Gordon are much too smart to fall for this community and their reporters trying to force them and back them into a corner to appease one community. When you start thinking of race and of a tongue, you got a problem, because you're not in sports or entertainment anyway, mostly sports. You can't go that way. You have to go with the raw talent and the heart, effort. You want good culture, and we want to keep that. So if we sign Pierre-Luc Dubois, we totally destroy the rebuild. He's going to cost us more than Nick Suzuki and more than Cole Caulfield. Those are your two young stars, and there's going to be more stars coming out of the players that these guys have drafted. So why handcuff ourselves and do this and sign him? You ruin your whole purpose of finally getting approval which was amazing, to rebuild, you stick to it. You're gonna do well. You can't. By the time when you look at an 8-year contract, by the time Montreal's ready to compete for a cup, when these youngsters get to that level and all the pieces have filled in, it's gonna be 2 or 3 years minimum that they even start take a run at the playoffs. But to be going deep into playoffs, this guy will be about 33 at that point. He's going to be going downhill. So his age does not, and money, and the length of the contract he wants, does not match that time frame of a rebuild. And you just totally handcuff yourself for everything else you need with the raw young talent coming up, a goaltender. There's so many things we need. You can do better through free agency and drafting. So that's my theory on that note. That was kind of the synopsis where a lot of veterans see it the same way I see it. It's a shame. We have certain reporters, they know who they are, the angles in the world, who will just keep promoting a player when he's undeserving. His playoff track record shows what he's about. And I'll challenge anybody who, I seen somebody make a comment on what I was saying. And that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine, but I'm also following the facts. When a guy shows up for one playoff game out of all the games that they played, come on, give me a break. That's not showing up for the playoffs. You cannot coach heart, and he has no heart. Sorry to say, this is what was wrong with Jonathan Drouin. You can't put heart in, and you want to put a cancer in the locker room, go sign Pierre-Luc Dubois. And I'll tell you, I've been following this team since diapers. Die-hard Habs fan. They signed Pierre-Luc Dubois. I'm done. I will hang up my Habs jersey and I will become a Boston Bruins fan. Done. I am not going through another long duration that we went through with what we just went through with finally getting to the end of the road with Jonathan Drouin. I refuse to go down that road again. So let's hope these two smart gentlemen, Hughes and Gordon, stick to their guns, because this would be the hugest mistake. Just look at all the playoffs this year for Dubois, the 2021 against the Habs and in Columbus, and then when he wanted out, he stopped playing and forced Columbus to trade him because they weren't going to pay him for not putting the effort in. And he made it clear. So whenever he gets upset, this is the other thing. These type of players, once they can't handle the pressure, or they get upset, or they want out, this is what's going to happen. That creates a bad culture, sends a bad message to the youngsters, and you just totally destroy everything in there. It teaches a bad attitude and an entitlement. You don't want that to be going through your locker room. That's called the locker room cancer. So in my books, you have to eliminate that. You don't want that coming in. They're doing too well with what they're picking. Okay, with that being said, long spiel. And like I say, there's some podcasts. I've been the one guy who has stuck to his guns out of these podcasts. And, I tip my hat up to Knuckles. He said it very politically correct. I'm not going to say it's so politically correct. I'm going to take a shot at those folks saying this because, what, they're only saying it for the tongue. And that's all they're saying, for lip service, to appease that community, because his track record is there. This is a major underachiever. And John Tortorella is a good hockey mind. Andrew Shaw and a lot of other veterans, they're all on point. Ex-coaches, stay clear of this trade, Montreal. Stay clear of this type of player, because he's an underachiever. And with all the poisons, 2 teams he's already bailed out on, wanted out. So just because it's his hometown, it'll be worse. So until Quebec starts making Muriel Lemieux and Claude Lemieux and those type of players, and the Lafleurs and Richards and Beliveau again, that's a different story. Those were superstars, and they had their heart. So now that ends that topic. So it's kind of pointing, the article kind of points of all the negatives and why we need to stay clear of it. And I agree totally. And I won't be one of those smaller podcasts or like a certain reporter to keep pushing something that is totally wrong for our organization if we're going to move forward. Next topic is news came out in the Athletic again. Another reporter wrote a report on it that, in rumor land, here we are again, right? Back in rumor land, and all honesty, it's not that surprising. Gauthier is rumored to be the guy they're looking at for 31, that Florida pick. And that's not a bad idea. I don't mind that. I would much rather that than to appease the community than going after and destroying our team with Pierre-Luc Dubois' money and lack of effort that would handcuff us. I'd much rather go after that. That would make more sense to go. Jay's supposed to be a half decent player, but for me, I prefer. That's just myself. I've been on the bandwagon for Quentin Musteast, big, strong kid. He plays with an edge, and I think he's the dark horse of the draft myself. And if I wasn't going after Musty, I'd be going after Rumour, the goaltender from the United States. Get that out of the way. We need a future star goaltender, or at least top-rated goaltender. And I think he's one of the 3 or 4 that are there. And I like his size and his speed for his size, his agility. So that's my thoughts, and I think people are keep pointing at just going after players. If we can't get Musty, then fine, you go to your goaltender. If you can get Musty, that's different, but then you make sure you go after Rumour in your very first pick in the second round. You can't wait too long because goaltenders are going to start popping off. So I would be even happier if they just took Rumour, but I like Musty as well. But anyway, the rumor is Gauthier is who's eyeballing. So that's what it is in the rumor land. And you're going to have tons of these rumors. They're all rumors. We're all entitled to our opinions. However, fact does back certain situations, and we always here try to speak to the facts of what's going on the ice, the records of these guys, what's transpired with the facts, not a fantasy mindset. I just won't go along with that. So anyway, thank you. I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot more. I do expect a big splash, and that's the other thing. One more thing, I think I like the news, which is still out there, which we've been seeing for over a week, that the Habs trying to trade up to 2 or 4. That's great, but if you don't get lucky enough and you're stuck in 5th, all those 5 clubs have to draft those 5 top guys. Bedard, we know, is gone. Chicago's not giving him up. And so you're looking at Fantilli, Carlson, Will Smith, and Michkov. And truthfully, Michkov, in my book, should be number 2. Just because he's right on the heels of Bedard. But because of this situation, and there's no doubt the guy's coming to the NHL. Let's not kid ourselves. It's just might be an extra year or so than normal that he comes to the NHL game. So a little bit longer, but by the time your team is ready, who cares, right? You can't lose out on raw talent. So if Montreal ends up in that position where it is Michkov and they don't want to draft him, you got to draft him. If you don't draft him, you have to trade that draft, and you might as well trade down and let a team take him, and you get yourself 2 first rounders for that pick. It's the only way you can pull this off. Then you got your options of getting a Leonard, and who's say a Benson, one of these type players, or Dvorsky, 2 of them, and you had to inject them. But it's still a big drop compared to those top 5 players. I would draft one of those 5 players. So that being said, I want to thank you. I'm sure there's much. I'm expecting a big splash from Montreal. I just hope it's a smart one. And so far under these guys, it has been. So again, hold tight. Just remember, these are all rumors because a lot of the insiders are starting the rumors because it's off season. There's no stories, so they got to make the stories. Remember that. So thank you for joining us here at Center Ice. Please hit the like and subscribe. Tell your family members, your friends, and we muchly appreciate it. Thank you so much, Hice Maniacs. Muchly appreciated. And where does the puck drop first? Here at Center Ice. And like I said, I apologize in the sense that this video was done much earlier today, and for some reason there was a malfunction. So, but it's out anyway for the third third time I had to throw it together. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me. We will see you on the next one because I'm sure there's going to be more news coming bit by bit. Still waiting to see the Logan Mayu situation, which Eric Ingles a week ago said it was going to be by last Friday. Well, we still haven't heard anything out of it. So, so much for that idea that Bettman would be meeting him last Friday. Yeah. Okay, if you've heard that, let me know. Anyway, thank you. God bless, and take care. We'll see you in the next video.